Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Jiana Sangachi, and welcome to the Breakfast Show from our lovely London studio. I hope this is Jaddi Kaladovich and I've had a good week. As you know, week on week we try to bring many inspirational Jedi guests here that are doing some great work in the community, whether it's locally or anywhere within the UK and even worldwide. So today is one of those days where we have a true inspiration with us by the name of Raj, who is an ex-police officer and now an entrepreneur. But before I go over and introduce him, let's look at a short clip on Protect and Motivate to give you a bit of an idea about what this guest has to bring for the next hour for our Pyari Sangat.
Can you guys hear me at the back? It's about giving 100%. It's about giving your best. I was the first Sikh person in my school. I was the first brown person in my school. I was bullied. I was tormented. I didn't pass all my exams. I'm not proud of that, but that's what happened to me. When they told me that I would be this first Sikh police officer in my entire force if I got in, the challenge grew. I had to get in, and that was it. My career went crazy. The world was at my feet. I had an amazing police career, and I left with 5 medals. Rewind back to school. If somebody had said to me at that point, this is what you'd be doing, I wouldn't believe them. I know your school and your teachers want the best for you, but do you want the best for you? Do you care enough about yourself to dream and vision the best for you? Because I promise, if you can get into this mentality now, you'd be unstoppable. I promise you, you'll be unstoppable in the future. Whatever it is that you guys want for yourself, you have to believe in yourself. You have to make it happen. Try your hardest, give it everything you've got, and make your story the best story that has ever been told. Thank you very much. So today I've been delivering a talk to Bolsover School. They have an amazing group of students who are just about to embark on their GCSEs, and today is all about making them realise that it's not necessarily about getting good grades, it's about giving 100% to everything they do, including their exams. It's about changing their mindset. What is it that you do? You come up against something difficult. What do you do? If something goes wrong, do you take responsibility for it? If that's what you want to do, start doing it. Start thinking about things that you can do it. Start brainstorming. Make a plan of what it is you want to talk to people about.
So you're looking for a cure for cancer?
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that clip and found it quite useful and interesting. Let's go over to Raj and find out a little bit more about his background and also what he's currently working on, what he's going to be working on in the future, and maybe how you can get involved and get in touch. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome, Raj.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, a little bit of introduction.
Okay, so I was a police officer for well over 10 years in the UK force, and I was the first Sikh police officer within my force.
Okay.
So that brought with itself its own challenges for me to overcome. And it wasn't easy, if I'm honest. I joined, many years ago, where it was very uncommon to see a Sikh police officer. In fact, my particular community, not the Sikh community, but I mean local community, had never seen one. So to see a Sardar police officer, with a bug and a beard walking around the streets, it was almost alien to them. So it was very difficult for me to adapt, very difficult. So once, I had a great career. I covered so many different areas of my career.
Yeah.
And one of the last things that I did was like tactical and strategic policing. So we did a lot of like covert operations, covert support, on serious organised crime groups.
Okay.
And we did a lot of work around child sexual exploitation. Specifically, we were part of the arrest teams and the investigation teams that would go out looking for these groups of people that were grooming children. So I was very blessed and fortunate to be in that position to be able to combat that, because I'm a big believer that, you know, we get put places, Guruji puts us in places we need to be, and that's where Guruji put me, and you know, it's built me up to what I am now doing. So.
And can I talk a little bit about, you know, back then when you were working as a police officer, you were working on things like grooming then.
Yeah.
Was it quite bad then in comparison to today?
It was the emerging. It's always been there. You know, it's been there. We've seen it. It was in Parliament many years ago, and it's always been there. It just hadn't reached the mainstream to the point when Rotherham and Rochdale happened, and it actually came out and hit the media, and everyone noticed the failings in the social care system. They then started doing work based on how to protect vulnerable. So vulnerable people then came to the forefront of everything.
Yes.
You know, people were assessed by their vulnerabilities, including children and old people as well. So it was something that kind of triggered it all, Rotherham and Rochdale. And then pretty much every force in the country then had a priority to do these grooming investigations. And I was part of the team that was looking after the one in my particular area as well. And so, for instance, the Mohammed Kubayb case, okay, so that was a big one in the Cambridgeshire area. And that particular case was one of the biggest cases that we'd had locally. But then I also went to work down in London with the Metropolitan Police and other forces as well, supporting them on their investigations.
And then tell me a little bit about what it was like to be the first Sikh police officer, a little bit about the experience, like the positives, and then I want to go on to a little bit more into any challenges you might face.
The positives for me, I think, was the backing that I had from Sangat.
Okay.
I mean, they were, and my family, you know, incredibly proud.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I actually ever thought I'd see myself doing, to be quite honest with you. I wanted to be a pilot. I just couldn't fit in the seat, but I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to do something, you know, completely out there, so to speak. But joining the police service was just something that, you know, my dad went to the Gurdwara one day, and the local police force were in there, and they were trying to recruit for this first Sikh policeman. Yeah. And I just remember him coming home from the Gurdwara and saying to me, you know, maybe you should consider this. And I did. So I thought I'd give it a go. And I just filled out the form and did the tests. And next thing you know, it was a case of, right, come in and put your uniform on. So it was a real experience. And I remember when I actually got my uniform and I brought it home in a big plastic bag, you know, and I dumped it all on the floor in the kitchen, and I just started assembling this kit. And I remember my mum was so proud. And that for me was a real experience, you know, right from the start. So to actually get involved in, you know, everything from like my first time ever in a police car with blue lights and sirens, you know, little things like that. You know, as a kid you see police cars and you're really like wowed by them. So to be able to drive a police car at like breakneck speed with your blue lights and sirens, and it was like every little boy's dream, do you know what I mean, to go and do something like that. So that was an experience. The flip side of things, the challenges, there was a lot of racism in the police force.
That's what I wanted to get into.
Within the police service, but also from the outer community as well. So, you know, there were certain incidents that I would attend, and people, for instance, wouldn't let me in their home. I would be with a white police officer and they'd say, you can come in, but he can't. Really? You know, and because of the lack of knowledge, I'll put it down to you know, and this happened in fact it happened 3 times, where the white colleague I would actually say, you wait outside. Really? And would go in and, you know, speak to the individual inside. So for me, as a young policeman, I didn't know whether I should challenge that, whether I just go with it, or, you know, and you know, there were like police officers would do like funny Asian accents when I'd walk in the room. Or,
really? So
you know, just
they would as well?
Yeah, and this was very early on, so I had to kind of get through that. I had to deal with that. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a police officer called Gurbal Kaur Sandhu. Yes. So she was the first Sikh police officer, female Sikh police officer. Now she was my inspiration, if I'm honest. She was one of the reasons why I stayed in at that time, because I'd heard about her story from a Bibi at Gurdwara who told me that story. And what she went through in comparison to what I went through, you know, was just a different level.
Yeah.
But she was so proud to don her uniform, really proud. And that inspired me a lot. So she was an inspiration. That's one person who I think is an unsung hero in our community. You know, we do a lot, we talk about people that have done so much for our community.
Yeah.
She, in my opinion, is one of those people. So, you know, I don't know any of her family or anyone like that, but they should be very proud of her.
Yeah.
But listening to her story inspired me a lot to kind of carry on and overcome this. And I did, you know, I'd worked very hard to earn the respect of my colleagues, but then you went out into the community and, you know, on a Friday, Saturday night,
Yes.
doing, you know, nighttime economy patrols, and people are laughing and, you know, spitting at you and making comments and calling you geography names and things like that. They were all very common at the start.
Right.
And it wasn't until I became a local community police officer where that started to change, because then they put me in charge of the city centre.
Wow.
And I was really cleaning up, like really cleaning. I had zero tolerance, and people then started to realise actually this guy really means business.
Yeah.
And it was firm but fair policing.
Yes.
You know, but still very friendly.
And you know, the other thing I want to ask is, obviously, you know, that was a lot of racism at that time, but you still kept your gears, still kept your distard.
Yeah.
Was there any point where you felt like, actually, because was there any racism towards the turban?
Oh, loads, yeah,
was
definitely,
there?
yeah.
Did you at any point feel like, actually, I want to cut my hair?
Never.
Okay, so talk to me about, because that's so important.
Yeah, no, never. I
Like,
never.
you
That
stuck.
thought never crossed my. There was an incident once on outside of a nightclub
Right.
where I got involved in quite a bad fight, and there was a big fight broken out between a lot of drunk people, and my bug came off. My bug was then used, but someone kicked my bug into the road, and taxis and cars went all over it. And my gears came out, but it was such a bad fight that it wasn't one that I could, as much as I wanted to grab my bug, I was trying to fight off people on the street, and there was other police officers, and then the dog vans came, and it really went kind of crazy, to be honest. 8 people got arrested for a violent disorder that night, and I remember picking my bug up, and it was soaking wet. You know, the cars had been over it, and that broke my heart more than anything that happened in the prior 2 or 3 minutes. You know, that just really destroyed me. And the first thing I wanted to do when I got back to the police station was clean my bug. You know, I put a bud guard back on, but I needed to clean my bug. So that, I think that was the first time that happened, but it subsequently happened 2 or 3 times after that. Then what started to happen was with the policing unit that I moved into, it meant that I had to wear certain protective headwear. For instance, there was, when we would do riot training, okay, so public support, London riots, I went down for the London riots, and we have to wear the hard helmet. So I would put a gear ski on, and, you know, the helmet was big enough to you know, support my shoulder. And so that was a big part of my career. At no point, I mean, they gave me my checkered band to tie around my bug, and that was a very proud moment, because initially they gave me, because I was first you know, the starred seat there, they gave me a pinned badge.
Right, that you would have to...
and I would just... And then, but the health and safety officer came in and said if he ever took a hit to the head, the pin would go straight into my head. So they then made the band, the checkered band, which obviously was a lot more risk averse.
And look at that, right? That time to now, how much has it changed now?
I'm so proud that our police services are now more reflective of our community. I really am, because it needed to happen. The Macpherson report was huge. You know, it was massive. When at that time, when you were on the cusp of an all-white police service, you know, it was difficult to be a black, minority or ethnic police officer. But now it's becoming more common. There's more diversity training as well. So myself and other officers were dealing with diversity training. We were taking people to the Gurdwara and saying, look, you know, to the officers, this is what we're all about. This is what Sikhi is all about. And it started to grow from that point. So now, I mean, it's great to see, you know, a lot more of our own community in the police service.
And there's probably a lot more support as well in comparison to when you went through that hard time and stayed put and are where you are now. But before I go into that, I want to know a little bit more about, and I'm not sure if you can discuss this with us, but what kind of things you got involved in. So a bit more, are you allowed to talk to us about some of the really interesting cases, or what can you tell us?
So some of a lot of the stuff that we were involved in initially, so say for instance when I was on community policing, on a local level was regional drug dealers, local drug dealers.
Okay.
There was local prostitution, there was local money laundering. So it was almost like intelligence gathering. So when you're working in like a city centre and people will come and speak to you, or you know when you arrest people and they'll say, look, let me off and I'll tell you this, and things like that. So that's where it grew. But then moving on to like the tactical policing.
Yeah.
Where it was a lot more intelligence led. By this time the intelligence had already come in, it had been developed. Now we've got a product to work on, and we were targeting big organised criminals, you know, international enterprises. And when you're looking at when you're watching a criminal commit an offence but you're not arresting him for it, that was a completely different experience, because what we were doing, we were evidence gathering. So you know, we are talking about, you know, people traffickers, we're talking about drug dealers, but on a very big level, you know, child sex groomers. And that's where I learned the term of child tourism, when people come into the UK from abroad to abuse children on order. You know, it was that level of policing, which was completely different. We learned a lot about the dark web. I don't know if you know what the dark web is. So the dark web is where a lot of criminal activity takes place now. So you've got the normal internet, which we all know, which is Google, and which, you know, everyone can access. But you've also got the dark web as well, which is where everything else takes place. But you need coding to get into it, and it's very complex. But cybercrime was huge. It was massive. Just as I was leaving the police service, cybercrime became massive. So I was involved in a lot of that kind of work with you know, my team. We were on the tactical support unit, so we did a lot of that kind of stuff.
And would you recommend, so for our viewers, obviously Sikh Channel is worldwide, not just in the UK, US, Canada, everywhere really. Would you recommend, what would you say to our viewers about them if they're considering it? Would you recommend them to take this up as a profession?
Okay, I'll give you my completely honest answer now. Okay. It's easier to be a police officer now than what it was a long time ago. But it's also more dangerous to be a police officer now than it was a long time ago. You see in the media now that police officers are targeted. Only recently 2 police officers have been stabbed.
Belgium,
you know, and you look at Raoul Moat, for instance, killed a policeman. It's a lot more dangerous now to be a police officer. And that's me being very honest with you. You know, if one of my siblings was to come up to me and say, I want to be a police officer, I would really try and just say to them, look, just think about it.
Really?
It's a great career. Believe me, it's a great career. You're going to get some brilliant experience from it. It's gonna really change your life. But think about it. Just take a step. Think about your family as well, because it does have an impact on your family, you know, as well. So you have to think about that. But I think that's the best answer I can give you. If that's the most neutral answer.
But if anybody wants to go and maybe find out some more information, obviously they've got the service. Is that the best way to start?
Go to the local police service. Consider becoming a special constable. So that's so a special constable is when you can work, but basically for free as a volunteer. But you have all the same powers as the police. You have all of the same training. You don't necessarily get the investigative training. So you can't become a detective, or you know, you do interviews and stuff. You are on the streets, and that's your core role. So consider becoming a cadet or special constable. But read up on it. Go out on like a ride-along. So we used to have people sitting with us in police cars who want to become police officers on a ride-along, and they'd come out for a whole shift. In fact, I remember taking a lad out on a ride along, and he never came back. So I don't know if it was me or the job. So
or was it a bit of both?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Tell me one thing: have you ever gone out in the police car when there's been traffic and put the blue lights on top just to get through the traffic?
If I'm honest, okay, I'll be honest with you. I've done that. I've done that twice.
Okay.
Once because I really need to go to the loo.
Okay.
And the other time was because I was late for an interview within the police service, so I had to get back. Because
there's this thing where, you know, that us drivers, and I'm thinking, you know what, seriously, have we really got them on just to get through that traffic?
No, it does happen. When you've got the power
that you
push
can do
a button, and it's like, you know, the seat parts.
Do you not have any of those blue lights at home stashed away?
No, it's not stashed away. No.
So tell
I
us.
can make the noise, but no.
Oh, that's good. That's handy. So before we go to the clip, I just want to ask you a quick question on what did you do once you left the force?
So once I left the police service, I started my own business. I'd never been a businessman before, so starting my own business was very new to me. My father's a businessman, so I learned a lot from him.
Okay.
I started my own business called Line Investigations, which is an Asian private investigation company. And initially, it was just myself and my best friend. You know, he's like my brother. We started it together, and it very quickly grew from quite an amateur setup to a real respected brand.
Okay.
The kind of work that we would get involved in, like premarital investigations and stuff, the BBC coupled onto that, Times newspaper, CNN, and we very quickly found ourselves that our profile had gone from here to here very quickly.
Wow.
Our client base grew, the whole image of the company grew, and so we were essentially, we established ourselves as a mainstream Asian private investigation company.
Okay.
And we were doing jobs all over the country, from all the way up in Scotland to right down south in Southampton, Portsmouth, Dover, and then we had jobs that were taking us abroad as well. We were going abroad. We had and then we were having clients coming from abroad who were coming to do business in the UK, who were commissioning us for jobs here in the UK as well. So we had people from Mumbai, businessmen from Mumbai who were here on business, and they'd say, look, my daughter's getting married here, we want an investigation doing before we send our daughter over, or things like that. So our reputation with the industry really grew quite quick.
So on that note, I want to have a look at this quick clip on the premarital investigation.
Yeah, so this was a premarital investigation. This is one that we've done a little while ago.
Okay.
So we've had permission from our client to use it as a training tool.
Okay.
But because it was quite a while back now, it's quite a dated piece of material, but it's still, from what they'll see in the clip, is something we've adapted and we've grown on. But that is very kind of basic as to how we do our surveillance.
Okay. So Sangaji, we're going to have a look at this short clip, premarital investigation, and then we will be back continuing to speak to Raj.
Alpha 2, Alpha 2, Alpha 1.
Message received, Alpha 1.
Yeah, en route to find subject Lemon in vehicle. Do you receive?
Message received.
Contact. Subject vehicle has been located on Rightwell. Confirmed subject Lemon and unknown female currently at Forecourt petrol station pump. Stand by, we'll update on location shortly.
Alpha 2, message received.
It's going left onto Breton. Stand by, vehicle approaches lights roundabout. Vehicles held at roundabout, one from pole, no vehicles for cover. Stand by. It's held at third set of lights, one from pole, no vehicles for cover. Vehicles off, taking the third, signposted A47 Leicester. Alpha 2, message Alpha 1.
Message received, Alpha 1.
They've entered the market town, now in slow moving traffic. I've got two vehicles for cover.
On a marvelous object. They look like they're kissing. Images obtained.
Alpha 1, unknown female has exited the vehicle, going in the direction of the train station.
Yes, all received. You stay with subject Lemon. I'll intercept the female. Received.
Alpha 1, subject Lemon is leaving the car park.
Yes, received. Unknown females boarded the train to Birmingham platform 2. You received.
So Sangaji, I hope you enjoyed that short clip. And Raj, could you tell me a little bit more about that? What more would you like to say?
So that is when we're asked to do like background checks and stuff. A lot of that stuff is kind of desk based.
Okay.
Where we look into the background of an individual and stuff like that. But then some clients opt to have like surveillance as well.
Right.
So,
Okay.
like for instance, we did one with the BBC where they
Yes.
wanted to find out like the drinking habits of somebody or smoking
Right.
habits and if they smoke and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, we would go out and literally do that kind of surveillance. Now, a lot of the times we get asked like, is what you're doing morally justified, or you know, is it morally justified, or how can you intrude on people's privacy and stuff? Or,
Yeah.
you know, to answer those two questions, first of all, when we're
Oh, sorry, you know what? Are they going to be quite long? Because we're going to go for a break
Yeah, they are.
soon.
Do you wanna
So
come
we'll
back?
continue. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
alright,
continue
okay.
after the break. So Sangaji, we're going to go for a short break, and Raj is back with us. So he's back for the next half an hour. So we have him for the full hour. So figured not. Join us after the break, where we continue to find out a little bit more about what we were just talking about. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome back, Sangaji, after that short break. And if you have just joined us, you've just missed out on a fantastic half an hour with a guest that we have by the name of Raj, who was an ex-police officer and now an entrepreneur. But he's here with us now for the second half an hour, so you've got time to catch up to find out. And if you were with us in the first half an hour, we're going to continue on the question that we did just before the break. So Raj, if you could carry on from where you were saying about the clip and the BBC.
So we get asked if what we do is morally justified and how
Yeah.
we can, how about people's privacy and stuff. Well, everything we do is in the public domain. So,
Okay.
we don't do anything in people's houses or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
all in the public domain.
Yeah.
It's whatever people get up to in public is what we're interested in.
Okay.
And also, in terms of the moral justification, a lot of the investigations that we do is to find the truth out for
Yeah.
people. Essentially, when people are going to spend thousands or now hundreds of thousands on weddings and, or they're going to send their daughter away or
Yeah.
X, Y and Z, they just now need that reassurance. And if we can give them that, I can easily justify doing that.
Yes.
To give them that peace of mind, because we hear it so often, people get married and then, they find out truths after marriage
Often.
and, stuff like that. And if you found that out before, would you have still gone ahead with it?
True.
Or as parents, would you still go ahead with it?
Yeah.
And I'm humbled to say that actually not all of our investigations end on a negative note.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
And yeah, they don't. And,
Okay.
if we can find out something and actually go back to an individual or
Yeah.
the parents and say, actually, you know what, this person's legit. You've got no problems
Mm-hmm.
as far as we're concerned. And, we hope that we can allay their fears
Yeah.
and their worries, because sending a child off to someone else's life and someone else's house, it's never going to be easy for anybody.
Mm.
But to do it with the reassurance that knowing that actually, okay, everything's okay.
And in terms of percentages, so you said you started off the organisation targeted towards Asian communities.
Yeah.
What is the percentage? Is it quite high within the Asian communities of?
As in terms of our clientele.
So yeah, like in terms of the cases. So is it? You were saying some don't result in a case of. So somebody's just thought something about the person, but it's not
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
In terms of it is true that you've gone out and invested. What's the percentage of?
I'd probably say about 75%
Are
are
actually
actually
there's something that's up.
they come out as, we'll call it a negative, or
Yeah.
what I would say is our objectives are met and our clients don't like the answers. I would probably say
best way to
probably
put
about
it.
75%.
That's high.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that all of the objectives are on a negative. So say for instance, if someone said, I want to know if such and such person's got bad drinking habits, or they're a gambler, or they're a smoker,
okay.
or they use drugs, it may be they, one out of the four
Yeah.
is met, and we can't evidence the other three because we
Right.
haven't seen them do it.
Okay.
So that have to take into account that as well. But in terms of our overall clientele, at the moment, 85% of our clients are from the Asian community. And, the other 15% are from the white or black community.
Yeah.
We have teams now all over the UK. So the business is now franchised. People have bought the franchise, they come into the business and they take on the training and everything like that. And then, so we've just opened Kent, is our latest franchise, so
Okay.
Kent, which is Gravesham and, that area, Maidstone. And what they've already found is that the interaction with the community there has been really positive,
Okay.
because people are they're already aware of this service because it's big in India. It was huge. The BBC did a massive documentary in India,
Yeah.
and it was so popular, it was massive. So to now have it in the UK has been a real experience and eye-opener.
And I want to ask, I mean, I know you might not be able to go into detail with this, but you know the BBC recently covered the drinking problem in the Punjabi community,
Yeah.
and that's just one aspect.
Yeah.
But a big question that arises a lot is what about smoking and drugs? Because that's quite a big thing. Is that quite high in the Asian community, but also people that have got gas and at the start as well?
It's more common than I'd like to see
Yeah.
because when we follow people and our objectives are, do they do this, 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 this. Some of our clients already know they smoke, right? Be it male or female,
Yeah.
they already know they smoke, but we still see it, and it is male or female. You know, there's this misconception that everything is men doing the wrong
Yeah.
things, and that is a misconception. You know, it is very much a male and female world, and you know, so when we're doing our investigations and we're seeing people smoking, and we know that they're up in there and they've got the stars, or that they're, you know, it does kind of really pull on a chord. But
Yeah.
it's almost like the modern day, be it right or wrong. This is where we are, and you know, I've done things before where I've seen people smoking in places that they shouldn't be smoking.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking like on Gurdwara premises and things like that, and that stuff, it's difficult for us because we have this professional personal barrier.
Yeah.
We can't overstep the mark. We can't then start telling people you shouldn't be doing that,
Yeah.
because we have to remain professional at all times.
But then do you ever think now that actually I wish there was something I could do, whether it's a talk or workshops or something that is not targeted at that one particular person, but maybe might make these people rethink if they are addicted to any of those three things?
Yeah.
What more can be done? Because I know we say, like you said, it's that's where we are, and I totally understand that's where we are, and we can't point the finger at anybody, and we can't make somebody stop doing what they're doing. But there's got to be something that we can do to educate them, maybe?
I think we're very blessed in our Sangat. We've got a lot of people in our Sangat that are addiction counsellors, that have got the knowledge, that have got the experience to be able to do stuff like that. You know, I'm not an addiction counsellor. I can't talk about, you know, anything from that perspective. But I certainly know within my network of people that do, and I know that they do go and speak to, you know, groups of, you know, like Women's Aid, or they'll go and speak to at the National Centre for Domestic Violence and things like that. So we do have some emerging kind of habits in our community that they do need to go, and there's always going to be more that we can do to combat that. Always going to be more. But I just think that, you know, if there's people out there like watching today, for instance, and they've got this knowledge and experience, and they've got free time, it's important that they help just give that knowledge, give it out. It's a gift. Guruji gave us these gifts to be given out to the Sangat, and I think, you know, that is one thing I'd encourage more. People have got these gifts, let's start giving them out.
And how does it feel for you to be a private investigator? Because that's rare. First time we've had a private investigator on Seat Channel. Well, maybe not Seat Channel, but on the breakfast show, this Saturday morning breakfast show. So how does it feel? Talk to us about that.
I love being a private investigator.
Because?
I really do. I love being a private investigator.
You find out all the stories.
No, it's not. To be honest, it's not the best thing about this for me is the people that we meet are just... So we stay in contact with a lot of our clients.
Yeah, okay.
After we've done an investigation, so many of our clients stay in contact with us, and we like to stay in contact with them. You know, if I was out and about, say for instance, I can say that within this area, we've probably got about, you know, at least 80 or 90 clients in this area alone. And I can call upon any of them, they'll invite me around for a cup of tea, and, you know, we have that interaction after an investigation, and I really like that, because not only does our network grow, but if you can help someone, if you can just give them those answers so they can get on with their lives, it's important. You know, someone once said to me, if you're sick, you call a doctor. If you've got a leaky pipe, you call a plumber. If you've got everything else, you'll call line investigations. And it's that we help people with so many different issues. You know, we recently had somebody that wants us to find a doctor. You know, they want us to find a doctor because one of their, you know, members of their family is seriously ill, and they need to find a specific doctor to help. So we're going to do that. So, you know.
Can we hire you to keep an eye on Hajith Uncle, how many rasmalais he eats, whether it's 1, 2, 3 or 4, yeah?
I can
brilliant.
definitely do that.
That's what we need to know.
We'll tell you. We'll give you video evidence as well.
He's got them in his fridge, that much I know, right?
We'll stick a camera in his fridge.
But how many fridges he's got, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find that.
So tell me a little bit about your team as well, because you were saying that you talked a little bit about them. What kind
Yeah.
of a team have you got, and how does it all come together? And
Our team
a
grew
day
really
in
quick.
your world, I guess.
Yeah, our team grew really, really fast. So you've got the support staff, so there's my assistant Emily, who she takes a lot of the calls.
Okay.
She will then sterilise them to make sure that they are genuine calls, because we get
Yes.
fake calls.
Really?
Yeah, we do get time wasters and stuff like that as well.
Gosh.
So, we've got the support staff as well. They do a lot of fantastic work. They do a lot of our desk-based investigations and stuff.
Yeah.
You've got the surveillance teams as well. Just the craziest bunch of guys and girls you'll ever meet. Or you might not meet them.
Okay.
But you
We'll
might
get
not-
them on
you
next
might
time.
Not, might not see them. So we've got a huge pool of investigators now
Okay.
around the country, as well as our franchisees
Yes.
that have bought into, their franchise. So they're franchised in Birmingham, East London, and Kent,
Okay.
and West London as well now.
Yes.
So, and what happens is they very soon become part of our team.
Okay.
They get their knowledge, and we're a big family. It's the best way to describe
Yeah.
it. And we've got male and female. We've got Sikh. We've got Hindu. We've got Muslims.
You've got a mixture. It's
Christians.
brilliant.
It has to be, because for us to be effective, we need to be able to blend into our
Yeah.
environment, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, of course. That's
But
brilliant.
they're just such a great group of people. Really are.
Oh, that's good. And in terms of you winning these awards, how has that felt? Because you've won some awards which have been really fantastic compared to these. Is it something to do with the bigger companies?
Yeah,
or
so
something?
we
Talk to
went.
me a little
We
bit
went.
about that.
We were contacted by an international business magazine, and they host these awards, and they said, "Look, we've seen all this stuff on the BBC, and would you like to be entered into this category?"
Okay.
And this was in 2016, so we just kind of thought, yeah, okay, we were going up against the bigger companies in London,
Yes.
and to be honest, we didn't really pay much attention to it. They asked us for the evidence, we sent them the evidence, and then next thing you know, we get invited to the award. We said, yeah, okay, you're through to the final nominations and come to this award ceremony and stuff like that. And off we went, and lo and behold, we won this award for Best Private Investigation Practice 2016. And when we sat around a table and we saw, these massive, you're talking like hundreds of £1 million companies,
Yeah.
and they kind of looked at us and thought, who are they? So, and we've gone on and we've won other awards. We've won 3 now in total.
Yeah.
So we've won Best UK Private Investigation Practice twice, 2 years running, recently last year as well. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience. Yeah, huge. It's not something I ever thought would happen, but we're good by the now. It's going in the right direction.
That's brilliant. Could you talk to me a little bit more in terms of about what is protect and motivate? A bit more in detail about that.
So you just asked, like, what do I like being a private investigator? I've actually stepped away from it quite a lot now, because I'm focusing on protect and motivate.
Right.
So there's a motivational speaker called Les Brown. He's a huge motivational speaker. He was married to Gladys Knight,
Yes.
and he was based in the US.
Okay.
And by chance, I met him, and I got to spend some time with him on a one-to-one basis. And he was saying to me that, you've got all of this experience, you've got all of this knowledge. What are you doing with it now?
Right.
And I stepped back and really
Yeah.
thought about that. So what I do now with Protect and Motivate is myself and a few members of my team, we go into schools and we teach kids about safety online. That's the protect element.
Okay.
To stay safe from online grooming. I know there's a lot of people talking about kind of grooming in the physical sense,
Yes.
but so much of this happens online as a result of social media, chat rooms,
Yeah.
and things like that. There's catfishing and all that kind of stuff. So we go into schools, we talk about how to stay safe online. We do presentations, we have videos. It's very interactive. We've done this in schools all over the UK so far. But now we've had interest from the US, we've had interest from Thailand and Malaysia and Nepal as well. So it's going international, which is really big for us. And then we've got the motivate side of things, which is we help kids to try and map out their lives. What is it that they want to achieve? What are their goals? What are their dreams? And I've even from the police service to line investigations to now, I've never felt so good, sitting there and just talking to them and hearing them. You know, one lad who we went to school and his teachers actually said, look, he's the worst kid in the school.
Oh,
so be careful of him, like he'll be disruptive. He was the best kid I met that whole day.
Really?
And he actually sat opposite me. His mum has cancer.
Yeah.
And he sat opposite me and said, I want to find a cure for cancer. And, you know, he started talking to me about how he would manipulate cells and cancer cells and all this kind of, I mean, it went straight over my head, don't get me wrong, but it was amazing. So for me to go back to the school and say, you've got it wrong.
Yeah,
you know, he is an incredible child. So we enjoy it, you know, Protect and Motivate is really big. The US, over the US side of things, it's also had Hollywood interests with Mark Wahlberg and John Travolta, which is not something I ever thought would happen. Mark Wahlberg and John Travolta talking about our product.
Yeah, to talk about your product.
You know, so it's really gathering momentum now.
That's really good. And on the back of that now, really, you're travelling the world, right? And you're also writing a book.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. What's going on?
So the book is called Become a Lion.
Okay.
And it's kind of just some lessons that I've learned. So a lot of it is about my police career. I mean, there's things in this book. So the first 15 chapters have been written now, and they've been proofread and stuff like that. And the people that have read them have said this is just incredible because it is really raw about my experiences in the police, but the lessons that I learned, and you know, it's very kind of personal to the reader.
Okay.
So the person reading it would read it and actually, you know how you get the 7 steps of this or the 10 steps of how to become a great. It's nothing like that. It's just raw content.
Right.
So it's gone down really well with the people that have read it so far.
Yeah. Okay.
But towards the end of the year, that's going to be coming out.
So you've got it all ready. It's ready to actually. You're just getting people to read it. So is it in the draft mode?
So it's in draft at the moment.
Okay.
So there's 15 chapters so far. There's going to be 37 in total.
Okay.
So it's almost halfway there. But we're aiming for the end of the year for it to be ready published on Amazon. And
where have you been travelling to? What are the places that you're going to travel to?
So I've been over to America. Done a lot of work over in America, not with line investigations, but also with the Protect and Motivate side of things. Nepal, done some fantastic work. Last year I went over and climbed Mount Everest. Yeah. So that wasn't not to the summit. I'm too big for that. I've done too many Rodney for that. But to base camp, which is 17,500 feet. Did that for charity for Bernardo's, which is all about child sexual exploitation. So raised £2,500
very good
for that. Been over to Asia, so we've already done a little bit of work in Malaysia. Been in Europe, France and Spain. Done some work in Spain recently as well, and Portugal. So it's all over the place really.
And where are you going to be going to? Any plans of where you'll be heading to?
I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the US.
Okay.
So
any particular part?
We do a lot of work in Florida. So Broward County was the first place we started with Protect and Motivate. That's where it's kind of gathered its traction, but San Francisco, San Diego as well. Yeah. So the Hollywood side of things, for instance, the endorsement that's going to come from there is going to take us all over America. So we're thinking about setting it up as a charity at the moment. So
amazing.
If there's anybody watching with some charity experience, we've already got someone on board from with a lot of charity experience. So she's been helping us a lot, but you know, in terms of international charity work. Yeah.
Well, we'll give your contact details at the end for people to get in touch. Yeah. What's your favourite place then that you've travelled to, and why?
My favourite place, if I'm honest, I think my favourite place was Nepal.
Was it?
It was just amazing. It was amazing. Nepal. When I went to Nepal for Everest, so 15 days of my trip was solely Everest. After that, I had a chance to really experience Nepal. So I went to a lot of the Buddhist temples and I travelled quite a lot there, and went to some orphanages over there as well. There's a lot of orphanages in Nepal. I also went to, there was a very small Gurudwara in Nepal. So if anyone ever visits Nepal, they have to go to this Gurudwara. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji did darshan there. And the tree where they sat under, and you know, they did their Simran. And I had no idea that this Gurudwara was there, and I just came across it by chance when I just saw Nishan Sahib. Yeah. So it fulfilled its purpose, you know, I saw it. And I went in there, and then I spent probably about 2 hours there. But one of the things I noticed was that the Sachkhand was quite run down. So everything happens for a reason. I pretty much went out, bought all of the stuff for the Sachkhand, had all new Ramallah made and everything. I was on my phone to my mum. I was like, Mum, how do I get a Ramallah made? And stuff like that. And I had it all made up. And then we completely redid the Sachkhand,
Yeah.
you know, and that was such a big seva for me. It was the best thing I've ever done in my life
It
to
sounds
date.
it.
So that is the reason why Nepal for me is the best place I've ever been to.
And you know what, that leads on to my next question, which fits in quite well. How does Sikhi inspire you on a daily basis?
Sikhi is by far the best thing that's ever happened. I'm so humbled to be a Sikh.
And tell us why, yeah.
Because if I'm being brutally honest, if it wasn't for my Sikhi, I wouldn't be alive today. That's in my book, and that's what I then go to Sikh camps and talk to kids about as well. Because we have this gift of the Guru Granth Sahib, and my faith was literally the thing that kept me alive when, you know, there's news articles that I've had a gun put to my head, like I had a gun pointed at me. I've had, you know, no end of fights and all kinds of stuff.
And during the time of when you were in the police?
All the time when I was in the police.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for my Sikhi,
Yeah.
I would not be here today. It's as simple as that.
And on that note, right now, what would you like to say to people that are watching in terms of, you know, somebody could be where they're either, do I take the path of Sikhi or do I not?
Yeah.
You've experienced that, and I can say myself personally, totally agree with you there, that without your Sikhi, we would not be where we are.
Yeah.
What more would you like to say to the viewers so that they like, you know, they said, like, Jaydani Dolano, we should always be that person that continues and carries on, has the faith.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to them so that they do keep the faith?
I'd like to say that we have a gift. We have Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and they are the best teacher, the best comforter, the best lover, the best friend, the best everything we will ever have. And there isn't a single scenario or situation that we will go through that they won't have the answers to. And it may sound silly, but, you know, people get quite not serious, but they get offended when other people don't take their point of view on with Sikhi. Don't let that intimidate you. Just be your own Sikh.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's really important that we can be our own Sikhs in relation to our faith and our, you know, and our respect for Guru Granth Sahib Ji. But
Yes.
be your own Sikh. You know, if you're driving along and you just feel like you just want to talk, just talk, because Vaheguru will be listening, and you know, just have that comfort and ability to do that. That's my best advice that I can give.
Brilliant. We've got about 5 minutes left, and obviously there's a couple of other things that I want to ask as well. But before I do, you said you do a lot of talks at Sikhi camps. So for our viewers that are watching, could you tell us a little bit about where they are? Or
so I've done a few talks recently.
Okay.
So I've done one recently in Ipswich.
Yeah.
I'm scheduled to do some up north as well. So I essentially go into the camps and I just talk to the kids about my experiences with Sikhi.
Okay.
And they love it because a lot of it's to do with the police and wild car chases, and there's some stories that really make them laugh and get them engaged, and you know, it all comes back to Sikhi and how it got me through, you know, those times.
Yeah.
And they love it. I love it. It's my chance to be able to be with my younger brothers and sisters and really, you know, get engaged and involved with them.
And what about in terms of now in the future? So what's next? What more are we going to see maybe in the Sikh community, how people can maybe look forward to?
In terms of what they're going to see from the Lion team, is the Lion team are going to be pushing Protect and Motivate more in the UK.
Okay.
So, you know, so the Sangat can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the big platforms under the Lion Raj Singh, which is the name I go by when it comes to all of the motivational and Protect and Motivate and stuff. So they're going to see a lot more of that from us. They're going to see it at Sikhi camps, and we hope that we get invited to more camps and you know, things like that. One of the other things, just quickly, is one of the other things that we do is we do talks in Gurudwara about how to stay safe. So crime prevention.
Really good.
So it's all about Asian gold burglaries and stuff like that. So I've been to a few Gurudwara now where I talk about Asian gold burglaries and how we can stay safe and what the threats are and stuff as well, because it's obviously very common and it's almost like trending at the moment. Asian gold is a target for burglaries. So we do a lot of that. So if there's any Sangat watching and they want us to come and give talks, you know, to vulnerable members of the Sangat, then please get in contact with us as well. Yeah,
and we'll give you details. Got a couple of minutes left. A couple of minutes left. Just really, what is your purpose in life then? What would you like to end on to say this is your purpose?
My purpose in life, in my opinion, my Guruji has given me this life, and it's to help, support and end the suffering of as many human beings as I can and as my team can. that's the best way I can put it.
Amazing. And what advice would you like to give our viewers watching?
Best advice I can give our viewers watching is stay safe. Do everything you can to stay safe. Keep your family safe. You've got gifts. Let's use them. Then they're gifts given to us by God, and He's given them to us for a reason. So let's use them and enjoy life. Enjoy Sikhi. Be part of it.
Brilliant. And your contact details, 'cause I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that are thinking
So
to get in
our
touch.
website is lioneinvestigations.com. There's email address is info@lioneinvestigations.co.uk, and the telephone numbers and everything are all on there with our email addresses as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, they can contact us.
Thank you, Raj.
Or follow us on social media.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic
worries,
having
thank
you
you.
on. At least we know we've got a Ras Malai private
I'll
investigator
find it.
right here, yeah?
We'll find out. I'll tell you now. I'll find out.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Sungji, I hope you enjoyed watching the interview, and I hope you will get in touch if you have any questions or anything that you would like to find out more. Please do get in touch with Raj, and if you didn't quite catch the details, we will be putting it on the scroll. If ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ, ਭੁੱਲਾਂ ਚੁੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਾਫੀ. Have a good week ahead. Stay blessed, stay safe, as Raj just said, and be happy. So join us next week where we have another set of inspirational guests. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.